Hey now, welcome to the 5150 show, brought to you by the British Blues Electric Show, and it's my privilege and my pleasure to introduce the co-hosts of this evening's show, the Rummeister and
Hello,
and Brad.
Hey, Andrew.
How are you guys? Awesome. Good to see you. We got some good feedback on the last show that we did.
we did.
And yeah. And it's always pleasing. It's always good to get some good feedback. But I just have to make one thing clear to anybody that's watching the show live or the replays. I don't pretend to be a Van Halen expert. Anything that I'm offering in regards to Eddie Van Halen and the music of Van Halen is just purely my own opinion. If I've given, or any of my co-hosts have given, information that's incorrect, please tell us, be nice about it. And if you want to come on any show and offer some correction, you're more than welcome to, but just please remember that these are just opinions, and we really appreciate your opinions too. So I just have to make that pretty clear, because I had a couple of comments from people just perhaps being a little bit concerning about some of
Anything you want? Anything you want to share with us right now?
No, it's not worth it. Look. I'm. It's always my pleasure to see the Rummeister and Brad. So if you guys just want to just give us a bit of a heads up and tell us what you've been up to, because we're a family show.
I just want to, again, I said it last time, 2 weeks ago, a fortnight ago, how happy I was that I got the your Van Halen top 10 list from you guys. I know it was hard. The one thing that was interesting for me was you guys both picked Girl Gone Bad. So I was sort of looking at all three of our lists. So had to grab 1984 and put it in my car, and because sort of disconcerting. Hey, I've missed out on this song apparently, because both these guys, one's from New Zealand and one's from Australia, and those guys are listening to Girl Gone Bad, and I never listened to it. Yeah. So that was cool to have those lists made. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the great thing about lists. You can argue with them, you can disagree with them. Everyone's got a list, and I just want to make it quite clear to anybody, if you want to jump on and join us and add to any of the lists, you're more than welcome. I've just lost some power. Oh my gosh.
And the other thing that was fascinating for me, like let's say like watching MTV, like in 1984, when those videos of Jump, I think it went Jump, Panama, then Hot for Teacher, I think was the order that they came out in. But it was interesting for me that like none of us picked one of those songs on our list. So
no, and I seriously contemplated picking Panama.
Oh yeah.
But like Brad said, his list is going to change tomorrow, so it's probably.
And it has 14 times since we last saw him.
It's probably in Brad's list now.
Yeah.
Well, my list has changed, yeah. And every time I put on a Van Halen record, same with any artist, I fall in love with something else that it's just the moment thing. But the songs I picked were pretty strong, resonated pretty strong with me, so they won't change too much. But, even listening to a different kind of truth, like when we get to it, I'll mention it. But, yeah, there's a couple of things on here. There's one in particular that I was like, man, that's got to be in my top 10 now, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably one of the good things about the list that we do and some of the opinions we offer, because like Steve said, we might go back and go, oh, I didn't pick that. I didn't pick that in that song. So this week's or this series, this episode's album is A Different Kind of Truth. I think what we should do is just give a bit of our own personal background on the album, just to help sort of paint the picture of where that album is. Like a lot of guys, I think I was excited like heck to find out that there was this Van Halen album coming out. I didn't care that it was with David Lee Roth. I was excited. I was on a Stratocaster forum just talking about Stratocasters, and this guy said, have you heard there's a new Van Halen song called Tattoo? And I went, oh. So I got out of there, went and did a search, saw Tattoo, and found out that they were going to release this album. And I have to tell you guys, I was so happy. I was happy.
Yeah, I guess for me, like being a sort of a Sammy Hagar guy, when I came into the band, they're always in the back of my brain. There's always that thing. Wow, like back in like 1986 when 5150 tour was happening, there was a bit of mudslinging going on with Van Halen. Like you weren't really allowed to mention David Lee Roth to any of the Van Halen guys. They were like, look, he's left our band and we were a new band and we don't want to talk about him. So that's what my intro to this band was like that. David, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know where you guys stand with the subject, but from my perspective, David Lee Roth left this band, went to maybe make a movie, and then he had a great band though. Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai and Greg Bissonette on drums. He had a great band, and but from my perspective, he left the band, and so in the back of my mind, even after balancing that, and it doesn't work out with Gary Sharon, kind of in my own mind, I thought, oh well, Sammy's got to come back, and he did, and they did a tour in 2004. I went and saw it live in Vancouver. Just got to get the ferry over to the mainland from here. It's about an hour and a half boat ride, and then an hour drive to get into Vancouver. And Eddie wasn't in a good state. You guys will see online and forums and everything that Eddie's up there and he couldn't even play Eruption. Like he should be able to play it better than anybody else in the audience. And we're just going. He apologized to the crowd on the spot. He wasn't in a good place in his life, and so to see them, yeah, it's exciting. Okay, he was back. The other part of me too is Michael Anthony's not on this record, which for me is something I'll mention later once we go through it. And just in general, that was a bit of maybe a disappointment that he wasn't sort of back in the fold, even though Eddie got to play with his son, which is great. There's many sides to this whole story. That's just two things I wanted to bring up from my perspective. Yeah.
Sure. What about you, Brad?
Oh, look, I remember when this record was coming out, and I didn't hear any of the songs before I bought the record.
Oh wow.
My birthday's in February, and February 2012, I rushed out to the record store. I think it was early February, which is around my birthday. And I just thought, I'm going to buy this for my birthday. And I just bought the record.
You were 12 years old. You were 12 years old, weren't you?
Look, to be honest with you, I knew David Lee Roth was back in, and I'd seen a little bit of footage on TV and a little bit of Tattoo clip, like they highlighted it a little bit. But I said, no, I want to listen to the record. I don't want to see the film clip yet. I went and bought the record, and obviously I knew Michael Anthony wasn't in it. And we'll get to that, so I won't talk about too much about that. But I was blown away because I was like, man, it's got that classic early Van Halen sound. Obviously, through time I started to understand that they were old demos that they redressed and things like that. So that made a lot of sense to me. But I was heavily into, obviously, at that period of time, the Balance album. But Van Halen 3, I liked it for what it was. I mean, I'm an Eddie Van Halen fan as much as I am a Van Halen fan. So to listen to Van Halen 3 was still, the first few tracks on Van Halen 3 were just constantly getting spun in my car as I was driving around. I just loved them. I love driving to Van Halen music. It's great.
Yeah.
And when this record came out, I just couldn't get it out of my CD player. And a young family member I've got was in love with this record. And, the first song used to go, oh, put that song on again, put that in. And it was like, and it's a time capsule. And then listening to this stuff, because I must admit, I probably haven't listened to this record for about 5 years, maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
Honestly, you have to say, because I've had other things going on. Generally, when I put a Van Halen record on, it's probably more one of my favorites than.
Yep.
Like, I can't get it on camera. But being honestly, about 5 years. So putting it on just recently and listening to it, driving around to it again, I was just like, man, this is a killer record. Like, I put it into perspective, right? I mean, you've got to understand that. I don't know if you want us to start talking about the record yet, but I mean, that was my introduction to it, and listening to it again took me back to that period of when I first heard it again. I was like, man, this is killer. And I've listened to it constantly every day now for the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
That's why we do these. Yeah.
That's why I love doing these, because I actually sit and I've analyze the album, where I never really did that before. I used to sit and listen to it, and I've compared it to the demos and the live recordings of some of the earlier versions. And so we'll get into that. But for me, it's if you want me to get into it now, I mean, losing Michael Anthony was a big thing for me. I was like, what? But now I understand my homework that this album might not have happened without Wolf. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've hit the nail on the head, Brad. And I think this is why this book here, which other Van Halen shows don't want to talk about, makes that connection very clear, Brad and Steve, because Wolfie is behind. Wolfie is playing bass with his dad and his uncle when they're recording this. So for me, hearing that, it situates this album a little bit differently from when I heard it, when it first came out, because I was lamenting the loss of Michael Anthony too. But when I listened to it again in preparation for this show, I'm listening to it differently. So yeah, big point, and I think we're going to probably talk about that. So I'm going to get the ball rolling by just saying, Tattoo You. Okay, so it's a solid opener for me. It's a solid opener. Roth is he sounds particularly good on this track, albeit that rapping part. He's doing that. The best way I can describe it is rapping. It's an 8 out of 10 for me, and it's certainly a play.
Nice. Yeah, guys. So for me, I know, Brad, you would be someone who has an attachment to tattoos, because you have tattoos on yourself. So this, just the title alone, has an overall interest for you in listening to it. For me, I don't see this as maybe the best song. I have another song on this album that I thought should have been the opening song, because I think about the album's top to bottom, where things should be. That's also another dynamic of doing these. I have another song that I think definitely should have been the opener. For me, yeah, definitely it's a play. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I have tracks that are less than 7 and tracks that are more than 7. Let's see, what else did I write about this? Yeah.
It's surprising, Steve, that when that song was released as a single, I remember it wasn't getting a lot of love. I remember a lot of guys on some forums, that I was, participating in, didn't give it a lot of love. So, which is interesting. And I was sticking up for it, because I was saying, but it's Van Halen.
Yeah. So what it is, I listened to it once last week, and I listened to it again yesterday. So that was my last week's thoughts. This week was, I did write this, where's the riff? So that's just what you said. There's not really an upfront riff in this song necessarily. it's more about the lyrics for me in this song, which is fine. David Lee Roth covered in, like, he's got the tattoos from his elbow up, and he's got a whole tuxedo that covers half his ass, I think, too. And but for me, just when you listen to it sonically, like all of Van Halen, there's always a riff. And for me, it was really, there kind of necessarily really isn't a riff that stands out in my mind when I think about the song. Yeah. I think that's what the people are saying to you, Andrew, about the song.
Yeah. So is that a skip or play?
Oh, it's a play. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's one less than me. That's interesting. So,
Sure.
What about you, Brad? What about you?
Well, for me, I've done the comparison thing between like Down in Flames, which was the it's Tattoos, like the rework of that. So it's reminiscent of that rock era. It's got all the vocal melody line is catchy. That's more the riff for me than a guitar riff. It's
right.
The vocal line in itself, where people knock the Sammy era, but the Sammy era was a lot of vocal melody as well. So for me, it's a Van Halen thing. They go for those catchy. I mean, they will always be on saying they love like bands like the Beatles and stuff like that. So they're going for that in the vocals. You can hear the chorus in itself. Tattoo. It's just so you can't not start singing along.
That's what I was getting at. I think of that title, the name Tattoo, because they keep repeating it. That's what I think about this song. But normally for me as a guitar player, I'm always where's the hook? Where's the riff? And I can't find it. Yeah.
The intro for me is really tough. It's got that big thing, and it's got the nice synth overdub, and it's got really nice, simple, classy overdubs from Eddie, just some nice stuff. Nothing too going on. I mean, the bass playing on it is very solid. It's huge. I mean, you got to think about Wolf was like 16. He was way ahead of his time. Like at that point, 16 years of age and recording for his dad's band. That's pretty massive, really.
Well, I think he was probably 16 on the tour that they did. They did the tour in 2007.
Okay.
I think that's when he was 16.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it went quickly.
Because I saw every tour. I saw 2007. I saw them in 2012, 2015. So yeah.
I mean, to go into a recording studio and pull that off the way he has is pretty solid. Yeah. Alex is swinging that song with his old school style. I mean, for me, I love the outro to the song that he nods to the intro of Down in Flames, like he sort of puts the end. It's like, okay, we're going back to the start again. So I kind of thought that was pretty cool. I love the catchy lyric in it. I mean, for younger people in my family that have gone to this song as being one of their favorites, it's got a catchy, clever lyrical content there. So I think it's about an 8 out of 10, and it's a definite play for me. I mean, we wouldn't have heard these songs if it wasn't for Wolfgang. So we've got to start looking at it like, he wanted to do a collection of like the previous sort of demos and B-sides and things like that they never released. And I think though, from my understanding, Eddie was at a point where he's like, the last sort of songs we recorded with Sammy didn't really get received well. So I don't know what's the point, So I think he rejuvenated a little bit in them. And honestly, I've got to pay credit where credit's due. I don't think they would have done this with Michael Anthony.
No, I'm just saying for me as an overall fan, and definitely, did you guys see Van Halen with David Lee Roth like 2007 live or 2012 or 15? Okay, so I saw them all. and immediately, like right away when I saw them live, like you're missing Michael Anthony, even his like stage persona, like whether he came up with the Jack Daniels bass and that high background vocal he had. And I'm not putting down Wolfgang at all. Like he played great stuff, and there was some finger tapping stuff he did. He sounded great in the song "So This Is Love" from Fair Warning when they did it. I'm not slagging him at all. It's just me because I'm a huge Michael Anthony fan.
I think we all are as Van Halen fans. You can't not be.
Yeah. So that's all I was going to say about them as far as seeing them live with Wolfgang was there's not that background high vocal that it's in the whole catalog except this record. Yeah.
I think selfishly though, like Tattoo came out, Eddie was being selfish by bringing his son into it, because he said, like, basically he was the co-producer in that whole recording. He made it happen. So, I mean, selfishly, he's brought his son into the fold. He's playing with his son. I mean, what better way to sort of imagine that as a father, you get to play with your son on stage. That would just be mind-blowing. And he's basically done it as a selfish thing, and he goes, I don't care if the fans are happy or not. That's how it is. So, but I mean, look, Tattoo, it's a play for me. I love the intro. I love how it comes in, and it's great.
Yeah. So, what's your scale from 0 to 10, Brad?
I give it an 8.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're within par, gentlemen. We're within par. So that takes us to the second song, which is "She's a Woman." So for me, guys, I'm reading my notes here because I've just made a couple of key points here. Give me the wah wah, baby. I love the wah wah. It's clearly drenched in this song, and it's the first song really that introduces us, I think, to the new Eddie tone. We didn't perhaps get it with Tattoo, but we certainly get that new tone in the second song, which I think's really exciting. And it's nice to see, though, some high lyrics there, some high harmonies when she's the woman. So at least they're trying to get some Michael Anthony going in the song. Fluid guitar solo, and topical lyrics too. Topical lyrics by David Lee Roth, because the global financial crisis had just happened, or some parts of the world were still in the middle of it. So, talking about, his car getting towed, living in in the back of a wagon. So, we all know what that means, perhaps. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, and it's certainly a play.
Right on. Guys, first 5 notes, it's a 10. It's a play, it's a 10 for me. This is what I was getting at. This should have been the first song on the record for me. Coming out of the it's a song from the old days. It could have been on Van Halen 1. It could have been on Van Halen 2 for my listening. The guitar tone might have been differently, of course, but it was played live on all the tours I saw with them, all the three of the tours, and it's definitely a play. It's 10 out of 10 for me. If I could give it an 11, I would. It is my favorite song on the record.
Oh wow!
Oh, for sure.
Wow.
It's not even a contest. Well, maybe one other song.
Okay, well, you're going to be interested then when I give you my favorite song on the album, because certainly a play. I love the okay.
So just the difference between like Tattoo and this, like the riff is right there. It's in my face. This is Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, and the solo's great. It's just up front. And Tattoo in the verses, it's kind of like relaxed in the verses in Tattoo, and there's not this big riff hitting me. So that's why I think that She's the Woman should have been the first track on the album. And I would have put Tattoo down the list, like maybe 4th or 5th. I'll get into that, but yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
so
Brad?
so that's 13 and a half out of 10 for Steve Anderson.
Oh, it can only be a 10. It's a 10. And definitely Brad sort of leaned on this. Like I could put She's the Woman would definitely be in my top 20 David Lee Roth songs, quite possibly even the top 10. Like I'm sure one episode we're going to do that. What's your top 10 David Lee Roth songs?
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, and Sammy Hagar. But definitely, this is Goosebumps. I'm full on. So last thing I'll say about it, I could say it later, but this is one of the songs that it's my go-to one on this record. Like if I put this record in, I go to it first.
Cool.
It gets me into it, right? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you. Everything you said there. I love this song. I love the old demo of it as well, but I actually like this version of it better. I really do. It's killer version, killer intro, kicks in, it's tough as nails. It's reminiscent of that old school Van Halen. I even hear little bits of Mean Street and things like that in there. Obviously, that middle section they have to change because they used in Mean Street anyway. So from the demo, the breakdown for the solos, killer. The solo, very old school Van Halen sound to me. I love the chorus is so catchy. I mean, they were a party band. They, you know, even though it's a long time after this record, like the demos from when they did these demos to actually recording this song, they've brought that essence to the band still. It's a 10 for me, and it's a definite play. It's probably going to be in my top 10 of Van Halen.
Wow. See?
Oh,
I think me and Brad on the same page.
Funny because
so
now.
we're in par. We're within par again, guys. Wow.
So, the essence of this record is she's the woman to me.
Yeah.
I really listen to this album nearly every day for the last week and a half, maybe. And no, I'm serious. I've put it on every day just to really connect with it. And it hasn't been painful at all. It's been really good to listen to this stuff. And that song I can put on in the car driving along, and you just feel like you're on a natural high. And
I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, guys. It's the goosebump factor, and that song, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. And it's because it does the goosebumps for me. And the same as just Brad said, summertime here, I'm in my convertible, the top's down, I'm cranking She's the Woman, and everyone else is jealous of what I'm listening to.
That's the beauty of Van Halen over any other rock band that's around, to me, is they were about fun and parties and enjoying life and stuff like that. And a lot of their songs are about love and women and party times or whatever. But the point of the matter is, for me, you can put on a Van Halen record and they make you feel like you're on top of the world. That's you know. And She's the Woman. Man, I was cranking that so loud in my car, I think the speakers were starting to melt.
Wow.
I was loving it. I was like, man, I've got to put this song on more. I love it. So,
Sorry, guys, I just got to go to the chat here. Metal Soda's asking a question. He wants to know what guitar I have here. So this is basically, not a home build, but it's a Musicraft Kramer Pacer body. And it's a Musicraft Charvel neck. This is my #1 electric I play with my band. Obviously, my initials here, SA. It's basically a Kramer 5150, but there's no stripes, and it's not the Explorer headstock. I like the way a Fender Strat or Charvel now, because Fender owns Charvel, the way these headstocks look, because I'm influenced by all kinds of guys, David Gilmour and Robert Trower, and the list goes on. And color-wise, I wanted something I could play on stage. I mean, it's a Whaletail Floyd, it's a Seymour Duncan 59 MXR nub. I mean, this is all the Kramer 5150 guts right here, the parts. It's got the humpback saddles like the Kramer 5150 does. The string tree or the string retainers from a Kramer Pacer. It's the Godo 90-degree tuners. It's all the parts of a 5150. I've even got like the screw eye bolts on it. And color-wise, what do I want? Do I want a black guitar? Do I want a white guitar? No, yellow, red, green. And I just went, you know what? I like green. So yeah, I got some Schwinn. This is called Campus Green Schwinn bike paint, because Eddie, back in the Frankenstein days and the first guitars he painted, he used Schwinn bike paint. So very influenced by the guy. And this Whaletail Floyd, it has a steel block. This isn't a brass block; it's actually steel. Again, like the Kramer 5150 has. So it's basically that guitar, but I got to go on stage without the stripes because we play all kinds of music, right? But anyway, that's for Metal Soda.
That's a beautiful guitar. So the third song, gentlemen, on the album is You and Your Blues. So for me, exquisite guitar tone. And I love that palm muting at the start. I just love it. It just gives me the Steve Anderson factor of hair, hair rising. Love that. And then the melody of the second verse when they're going, your bad mood permanent, communication breakdown. I love that. I love that. And it's reminiscent of the swing, for me, of some of those early Van Halen songs like Dance the Night Away. You've got that swing going on. And then the wah-wah. I love the wah. 10 out of 10 for me, and it's a play.
Wow, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, brother.
Okay, is there another song on the album that beats this one? You don't have to say what it is, or if there's something that's also a 10.
No. I've got some. No.
Okay.
I'm not telling you. Be patient.
I'll put the seatbelt on.
Yeah, put your seatbelt on. So, what's your verdict on the song, Rummeister?
Cool riff. I like those sneaky little riffs and the palm muting for sure. And I like the musical references, like all the influences of theirs from the past, all these different bands, and that was right away when I very first heard it. I was thinking about like all the cool bands that they were sort of referencing. So that was super cool. For me, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. And it's a play. Not necessarily the goosebump factor, like She's the Woman. Like that thing punches me like a punching bag, that song. But I dig You and Your Blues, and it's got the word blues in it, so it's a little bit laid back. That's fine. It fits the title. It's an 8 and play, and that's a cool song. I like it.
Cool. I'm glad that it's a play, and I'm happy that you're giving it an 8. I'm happy with that.
All right,
Brad, roll on, brother. What have you? What? Tell us. Are you in par?
I'm very much on you guys, sort of where you guys are with this song. Great lyrics, great BVs, really catchy melody. I love the guitar intro as well, Andrew, and I love the solo, and clever underlying guitar parts. So I mentioned that as a guitar player, especially when you're recording guitar parts. Eddie was always a less is more guy with overdubs. He never really did a lot. From what I understand, he was always pretty much, try and nail it all and fill out the sound with one guitar. But he's clever with his overdubs, like it, and second guitar parts, especially while he's playing a lead line. Sometimes he doesn't put one there. I've given it an 8 out of 10, and it's a definite play for me. I mean, I love the song, but if I put She's the Woman and those two songs together, I like them for different reasons, but I like the Woman because of the punch factor, and it's got that whole element of. But You and Your Blues leans a little bit away from the classic Van Halen sound for me, but you got it. If that makes sense.
That's pretty much what I said.
Mirroring a lot of what you said. I still really love the song, though. I still love it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if I'm going to
so that's a play.
That's a play. If I'm going to rate other songs as 10, I can't rate that as 10. I have to put it in place.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're within par, gentlemen. So the next song is Chinatown. So it's an interesting intro by Eddie. It's metal mayhem to me. I think Alex is hitting the skins, and he's probably going to put Lars from Metallica to shame with his drumming patterns on that song. Roth's at his most playful in his acting with his vocals. And it's not a particularly good vocal song as far as I'm concerned from Roth at all. It's 5 out of 10 for me, and it's barely a play.
Wow. Wow.
Ooh.
And they played the second tour, or maybe the third. Yeah, the album came out, and then it was the second tour in 2015. I saw them in Las Vegas. That was the last time I saw them, and they played this song live. Yeah, and it's on the four record box set that came out, the live record.
Yep.
Yeah, it was on there too. Yeah, so Andrew, I pretty much echo basically what you're saying. For me, just generally with all these, there's going to be a few here that coming up where I'm listening to it. Okay, the title's Chinatown. Okay, you're going to be singing something about Chinatown. We have a Chinatown in Victoria. There's gates at this one street downtown, and there's lots of Chinese food stores. Like, I get it. But just generally sitting back listening, it's hard for me to decipher what exactly he's telling me about Chinatown when I'm just sort of listening to it, because I'm not used to it. It's, okay, Hot for Teacher, you know what he's talking about, or like you know instantly. And there's a few songs like that on this record. The fast drums, I did write that down. It just overall doesn't really like grab me like other Van Halen songs have in the past. Last week I gave it a 5, but the second listen I upped it to a 6. So that's probably my lowest score right now so far, and we're 4 songs in is for Chinatown. And I would say when they played it live, I was surprised they would even play that song live. It shocked me that they played that song live.
Brad, what you got?
Okay, well, I like the song. I think it's killer in the sense where it's something a little different for them. They explored a different avenue. I did mention in my notes here, like, I think the intro is insane. I loved it on the first listen to it through. I remember when I first got the record, I was like, oh, I love this. But it sounds very disjointed with some of the verses, like the lyrical content.
Yeah.
And the thing is a little bit, I couldn't imagine, I reckon that David Lee Roth may have struggled to come up with something for that, I'm thinking. But the highlights for me are obviously the intro, the ends of the solo where it doubles on the bass with Wolfie and him, and the outro as well. It just highlights for me the father-son, they're exploring that, well, this is my son and he can play like this and I'm playing like this and we're playing together and I'm loving. You said that. So for me, parts of that resonate a little bit stronger for me for that reason. But I do think it's about I'm going to give it a 7. I was going to say, but I do really love the playing, the actual playing on the song.
Right. Right.
So you give it a 7.
To listen to in the sense where if you compare it to classic Van Halen, it doesn't really fit in classic Van Halen.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's not. No, not at all. No, good point. And so again, I'm gonna call it. We're within par, guys. I'm gonna call it. So we're tracking well. So the next song, and I'm not going to say a lot about this because I know that you two are going to offer a lot more on this song, other than because I know that Steve the Rummeister has a lot more to say about it because he hinted at that on our last show. But I'm going to say Blood and Fire. It's a beautiful song. I love the musicality of the song. The guitar work is brilliant. And Roth is making up for his vocals on this song from Chinatown. So, he's gone from a bad vocal performance to a pretty good vocal performance. I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say about the song. So I'll just end what I'm going to say here by giving it a 9 out of 10, and it's a play.
Yeah, so as you guys would imagine, Andrew didn't mention, this is known in my brain as Ripley. Basically, electric guitar-wise, all the same basically throughout. There are parts when you listen to it instrumentally that are sort of more pronounced. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago. This was, I think, my number 10 pick of my all-time Eddie Van Halen moments, or I guess, and I guess because the lyrics cover the guitar playing a bit, I just have to rank it as a 9 as well. I actually have that written down, and because I did like it more as an instrumental. As far as for me, guys, it's always that the goosebumps and the hair raising on my arms. I get that when I listen to it in my car as Ripley, and I don't get it when I listen to this, because I'm like, I like the lyrics and everything sounds cool and everything. It's just, it doesn't give me the same goosebump factor, so that's why I can't give it a 10. Which is interesting. Like, it's the same guitar, but it gets buried a bit by the lyrics, because
I'm
for me,
surprised. I'm
yeah,
surprised you gave it a 9, Steve. I was sure you were going to give it a lower score than that. I was sure.
no. I like the vocals and everything. It just doesn't give me the goosebump factor like it does when I listen to it instrumentally as Ripley. Well, like a 9 is an A. Like, it's an A, but it's just not. It's not She's the Woman either. She's the Woman's the 10 for me. So, like, this song can't be the #1 song for me. So it has to, like, it can't be a 10. So it's a 9, but it's damn close.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to see if I wrote anything else. Yeah, I wrote down, I like the verses, that the vocals that were put on this. I like it, and I like what you said about it's catchy, like, and that's great. I wasn't sure sometimes about the chorus, like the blood and fire. He kind of drags out the words a bit, and I don't know if it really sits. If it's sung the way it should be, like the chorus, it kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. So right there, it sort of gets knocked. A demerit gets knocked from it. I'm just looking at my notes here, and that my second listen was, yeah, I like it more as an instrumental. So that's interesting. That's why we do these.
So before Brad gives us his verdict on it, I was surprised when I was doing a little bit of research that Eddie got the Ripley guitar repaired apparently by Ripley for them to record this song. So it's interesting that he did that. So do you think this is something that Wolfie wanted his father to do? Is have you guys got any theories? Because we know now, don't we, how instrumental Wolfie was in this whole production and birth of this album. Do you think that's something that Wolfie would have said, "Hey, Dad, come on"?
I guess when I think about this record, I kind of think that maybe we don't know what's in that vault. Like, and these are coming from the vaults, and it surprised me that they would go there. I have so many sides and thoughts about this record, because, okay, what is David Lee Roth going to have to offer for this record? So that's what Eddie had to figure out. Okay, tattoo thing. Okay, we got the guys have tattoos. Great, they got that song. And going back into the vault and grabbing these, one part of me is a little bit disappointed that, okay, maybe he doesn't have a lot of stuff, like new riffs and stuff, enough to make a great record. So he's going for, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 of these songs to the vaults to present, hey guys, I don't have enough. So, hey Dave, what do you think about these from the past? Or is it a question, do you guys think it's like, okay, we want to sound like old Van Halen the way we did in 1984 and before that, so I've got these riffs from these times, let's see if we want to hash something out with these. So I sort of look at it different ways. Yeah. Go. What do you think, Brad?
Well, for me, just sort of extending on what you were talking about, from my understanding, they came off tour, and Wolf had discovered all these demos of, like, the floating around on the internet of of these songs, basically, that they reworked, and he was a big driving force behind getting his dad to agree to do them. So this, like, they might not have been another Van Halen record for what we know, without sort of Wolf actually getting involved like that. But from my understanding, and I've written it down here just so I didn't forget, when they started demoing stuff in their 5150 studio, there was up to about 35 songs they were working on. So there could be from this session more songs that we don't know of yet. I'm
sure.
not. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed, Brad.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and I just saw another video floating around recently of Eddie and Wolf together, and they're going through all the tapes and that
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube somewhere. I saw that today, and there's tons of stuff. But Wolf seemed to be pretty adamant about the fact where he knew where things were and stuff. He's probably more involved in looking at the back catalogue than say Ed was. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know, but
yeah,
I dare say what they've done is, maybe Wolf really drove this home and made it happen by pushing the brothers to do it. You know what I mean? Maybe they just got to that point where they're like, well, the last thing we did 3, and then we did like the 2 or 3 songs with Sammy and released it on the greatest hits, best of both worlds or whatever, and that they weren't received well, and they thought, well, maybe what's the point? And from my understanding, that just going back and reworking some of these demos and Ripley and stuff like that was Wolf really pushed it, and like we might not have heard any of this stuff without him. So, like, I don't know. There's probably way more material that's almost finished or finished, not mixed and mastered, that they can go back and look at. Maybe from this session, for example, when they get to looking at it, maybe there is these 35 songs they can mix up and master up. We don't know. But, look, in saying that, when they started reworking these songs, they started writing new stuff too, which is part of this record too. So, but I'll go on to Blood and Fire, which is Ripley. I love it, and you're probably not going to agree with me here, guys, but I actually like this version of it better than the demo, or better than the other version that's floating around from the earlier. What was the record it was from? It was a soundtrack record. What was the record called?
The movie's called The Wildlife. You'll hear it in the movie. Yeah.
I actually prefer it, but I just think because of the sound quality, maybe it's just bigger.
And also for me, Brad, I've been listening to that song for 30 years. The way it was. Yeah.
And that's the thing you've got where a lot of these demos and things I've rediscovered after hearing them years ago and then never really listened to them again, and rediscovered. So I'm coming in with a bit fresher ears maybe with this stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do love some of the clever lyrical content that he's put in it. Like the throwdown lyrics that David Lee Roth does, even like the bit where he goes, "I told you I was coming back," and like the way he does, he's quirky in that sense. It can be perceived as annoying, or it could be perceived as clever. I'm going to say clever because I like to be positive, but I do really like it, and for me, it's probably an 8.5. I've given it because it's not quite 9, but it's 8.5. So I'm going to give my first decimal point here and say 8.5.
So within par, gentlemen, again.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so before I get on to the next song, I just want to do a shout out to our very, very good friend Sonia in the chat. She does a wonderful job in looking after the chat for us and advertising our shows on other forums. Thank you, Sonia. G'day, Bent. And a long time no see. We've got Metal Soda in here saying hello, and he's very impressed with your stacks there, Brad. So, who else have we got in the chat? I think that's it. And we've got 8 people watching us, so that's great. The next song, guys, okay, Bullet Head. So it opens with the famous elephant, Eddie intro. Again, we get rap vocals from David Lee Roth. We've got some thrash metal drumming, again, by Alex. It's a 3 out of 10 for me, and it's a skip.
Oh. Wow. For me, guys, I know Bullet Head, that it's from the demo. There was a song called Bullet Head from a demo. Things I wrote fast tempo on the drums. The actual phrase "a different kind of truth" is sung in this song. I wasn't sure about the chorus. This for me, I have sort of arrows on my page here. I got this sort of series of songs here. So this kind of sits sort of like Chinatown does with me, where it's sort of going through the singings very quick and fast. I don't know exactly what he's thinking about. I said that when we were talking about Chinatown. So for me, I need another week to go back and read the lyric sheet of what exactly he's saying. Because normally I can sit back and I'll sing along with the Van Halen songs, but these ones I'm like, I'm hearing Bullet Head, I'm hearing Chinatown. The rest of it's kind of just scattered around and not clear for me to hear.
Good point, Steve.
Yeah, and they, in 4 minutes and bang, it's done. And I'm like, I don't know exactly what you were just singing about. Because I'm a big Alex Van Halen fan and the fast drumming, it just didn't quite grab me. And I wrote that on my second listen. I wrote similar to Chinatown, and I'm giving it a tepid play, and I'm giving it a 6.
Oh, that much?
Well, it was a 5 the week before. But I did that on my second time around. I kind of was more generous than I was. But still, that's in my list so far. A 6 is like that's the lowest number, right? So Chinatown and Bullet Head are both a 6, and very similar in style to me. So that's where I'm at.
Well,
Yeah.
I suppose it's up to Brad. Does Brad list it or does he love it?
Brad seems to like everything more than we do.
I tend to like heavy riffs as well as like typical classic rock and blues stuff as well. So I really love the music in this, and I love the chuggy heaviness of the riff. The lyrics and the melody kind of lose me a bit. Because, and I don't know, maybe because I focus on a lot of melody now when I write songs myself and things like that. I think David Lee Roth maybe struggled with some of these. I don't know. I listened to Bullet Head, the demo or the live version of it somewhere on YouTube. I found it, and I don't know whether it sounded better. I didn't. I think I wrote here I liked the demo, the live version I heard better on YouTube from years ago than this. But I wrote here that I didn't write a lot about this song. I wrote killer riff. It's very tough. Love the bridge section. It's got a very classic to their early style. Like I've pieced the song together though, because I can't sort of decipher it as a complete song as a listen to from start to finish and go, it's amazing. So for me, I personally think it's a 6.
Wow.
And it's
yeah. So me and Brad were
I was going to say 7, but when you compare it to say She's the Woman,
yeah,
I've put it in place, like it's got to be in context of where I put 10.
Yeah.
And then obviously where I put one like 7 and 6.5 and 8.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
6.5 for me. So 6. Okay.
Wow. So Andrew really dragged this to like not a play under 5 on average. Yeah.
Well, nothing you guys have said has made me change my mind about the song. So I'm still comfortable with the fact that I've given it a 3,
right?
And a skip. Just a quick shout out to Johnny Bean. Thanks for joining us, Johnny. So the next song is As Is, and we've got the famous Eddie Countin, and the intro to me sounds like a jam track between Eddie and Alex. There's a jam going on there, and then you've got the la 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 verse. 2 out of 10, guys, and it's a skip.
Wow. Yeah, guys. So this is back to I got this series of songs, whether it's Chinatown, Bullet Head, or As Is again. Overall, what are we singing about here? That's one of the things I wrote down. A cool drum rhythm. Whatever reason, it reminded me a little bit of AFU Naturally Wired at some point. I wrote that. I have to listen to that again. Again, it just didn't grab me like Chinatown, like Bullet Head. The song just doesn't really grab me. Second listen around, cool drum intro, fast riff. Yeah, and I just repeated myself. Very similar. I mean, I give those three songs the same. It's listenable. I'll play them, but they're a 6. Like, She's the Woman's number 1 at 10, and there's going to be some others that fit in. And yeah, it's Van Halen. I'll play it, but I'm certainly not, endorsing them as amazing Van Halen songs. Like I wouldn't. Let's just say this: I wouldn't. I mean, it's skip or play here, right? Would I play these for someone? Here's Van Halen. I'm not going to play these songs.
No. Good on you.
Yeah, that's another way of sort of looking at these. What would I play for someone, right? Yeah.
And just remember, people in the chat and anyone watching the replay, these are just our opinions. Don't,
Oh, yeah.
These are just opinions. We're Van Halen fans, but we just...
Yeah, everybody in the chat and watching this, make your list and put it in the comments. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. So what's your score, Steve?
I'm giving it a play at a 6.
Oh, you're giving it a 6?
Yeah,
wow.
I've given Chinatown, Bullet Head, and As Is. I've given them tepid plays. I'll play them and give them a 6, but I'm definitely not going higher than that. And I definitely wouldn't play them for someone like representing Van Halen. They wouldn't be on that list of songs. Yeah, no.
Okay. What about you, Brad?
I'm pretty much where Steve is on this one, I think. Look,
I've got no mates again.
Alex, it shows his monster drumming force, like in there. The riff has got that dropped thing, and it's killer. The riff's great. The solo, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, but there's even like a Randy Rhoads sort of vibe going on in the solo. It's quite impressive from a guitar perspective. The David Lee Roth ad-libbing stuff is very classic Van Halen, but I've given it a 5.5.
Right on.
And same thing. I wouldn't play this song for someone to represent
Van
Halen. But someone who I'm trying to impress from a guitar perspective, I might put that solo on and go check this out. But there's
okay.
If you listen to the solo, it's quite tasty what he's doing. But
all right, I'll make a note of that.
Perspective, I'm trying to give it like a song perspective, and I
absolutely, yeah.
I don't think that it's if I rate She's the Woman at 10, I can't rate this any higher than 5.5.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Just one quick little shout out to Semi joining us in the chat. Thank you. Okay, so we're not within par, guys. So I've brought the average down again. So sorry about that. If you guys are going to bash me up, do it after when everyone's
hey, everyone,
out of the chat.
All the hate mail go to you. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Give me. Okay, so the next song is Honey, Baby, Sweetie Doll, and I just want to paint a picture here for you guys. You know how Hollywood is always doing remakes of films.
Yeah.
So if they ever do a remake of Back to the Future, and they need someone to dress up in that suit and go and put, something around the character's ears to say that you are going to go out with the girl, and they're playing some music by Van Halen that goes into the Walkman. I think the intro from this song's probably pretty good to do that. And that's about all I'm going to say positively about the song. It's a horrible song. There's nothing redeeming in the song for me at all. It's a 1 out of 10, guys, and it's a skip.
Oh,
Yeah, so for me, it's just a little bit of a notch above like the Chinatown Bullet Head as is. Honey Sweetie Baby Doll. First listen, I gave it a six. Sorry. I did the second listen. I gave it a seven, just because the dark, heavy riffs in it. It kind of grabbed me a bit more the next time I listened to it, but certainly nothing lyrically. What Brad had said about song wise. But I just musically, it grabbed me enough for me to be ahead of those other ones. So for me, another word I'm going to use here for Chinatown Bullet Head, as is, not so much this one, but I guess what the word I'd use for it is kind of like on some records you listen to, like songs that are kind of like filler songs, and that's what
It's
this
not
kind
even.
of kind
It's
of.
not even filler.
No. I'm just. This is my own opinion. Where okay, we got these cool drum rhythm things, and we got this cool riff in that. Here's a cool solo.
Hey, Oven.
Lyrically, not the best, but okay, here it is. We're putting it out, and so
Hey,
whether
Simon.
they're a six or a seven, it's Van Halen. There's some cool musicality in it. It's a play for that reason, but certainly for like all these ones that I'm calling fillers, just lyrically they didn't cut it for me as songs. But yeah, so that's my story with it.
Yeah. Oh, look, I understand. I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah. I've got to chuck a couple of bricks your guys' ways. Brad.
oh
Oh,
goodness.
so sorry, Brad. Rummeister, what are
Yeah,
you giving it again? Sorry,
it's a play musically, and I gave it a seven. I gave it
a seven.
a one notch up over as
Okay,
is Bullet Head and Chinatown, just because I like this song musically better than those other ones.
okay, all right,
So I gave it a seven. Yeah,
Brad.
You guys are not going to like me.
that's okay.
Oh no, really?
I gave it a 9.
Wow.
I,
Really? Why?
I it's it lyrically, vocally, lyrically, it's probably the weakest point. The musically, it's phenomenal. It's
That's my set.
the I love the use of the octave. He uses the octave pedal or whatever it is he's using. I think he's using a sustainer on it and a whammy pedal. It's like newer territory, but revisiting old territory for Eddie as well. But I mean, that's the beauty of opinions. We've all got them, and
Yeah.
we can like. For me, it was one of my favorites on the record when I first listened to it. Other than, I mean, there's two sides of the spectrum for Van Halen for me. One is like the catchiness, like she's the woman and the grooves, and
Yeah.
the swing that they always put in their songs and the melody, the catchy lyrics and that. But this to me was like a very self-indulgent song for them. Especially for like, I think Eddie really shines on this song. That's just me. I've given it a 9 because I love the riff and I love Eddie's playing on it. I would have got a 10 if David Lee Roth had done a better job on it. In all honesty, but that song I've been flogging the last week. Whenever I get in my car or whatever, I'm just putting that song on just because I love that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Love a riff. Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't mention when we were talking about this was the pinch harmonic riff that he has. The pinch harmonic riff he does hasn't really done that before necessarily.
Yeah, good point.
He's kind of like, there's newer territory there for Eddie with his playing, and I mean retrospectively now we're looking at Eddie's playing. That was the last recording that this record is the last real recording of Eddie that we're aware of at this point. And I was listening to it like this week, going really excited to hopefully there's more stuff that's coming.
Oh yeah.
And he's branching into slightly new territory. I mean, it's always good to re-evolve and redevelop your style. And I don't know. To me, it's a big moment for Van Halen. But if we go back to the comment before, is this the type of song that I'll put on for someone to represent Van Halen? Maybe not.
Just because the lyrics don't do it for you. Yeah.
Just there's something about David Lee Roth, old school David Lee Roth was fantastic. I mean, as he's on this record, especially, there's moments where he's a real weakness in the band.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, like looking at say the first 6 albums of their career, you could actually say I liked every song off all those records, and I'm getting to these, and yeah, musically there's cool things going on, but just lyrically, like song wise that we're talking about, I mean, for Andrew to give stuff anything under a 5 in the old days wouldn't be possible. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Before we get on to the next song, I just want to do a quick shout out to Simon and Arvin. Thank you for joining us, guys. And thanks to Brad, he's drawn the average up on that song. So
yeah.
I've got to say that song in particular, Honey Baby Sweetie Doll, it does bring in some of the elements of like Van Halen 3 even into it, like musically, what he was doing on that, and maybe even slightly from Balance. He's bringing that to. So in other words, he's sort of, it's very self-indulgent in a sense, that song, but I resonate with the music more so than the lyrics and the singing on it. But that's why I love the track. The musically, it's fantastic. It's just and go back and listen to it and try and just listen to what's going on there musically, especially on guitar.
I gave it a 7 because of the music. It was just the vocals just kind of lost me. Yeah.
And I understand that too, because we're trying to measure it with a lot of things, and I appreciate that. So the next one is The Trouble with Never. So I'm reading off my notes here. After such a horrible song previous, you kind of hope, after listening to a horrible song, and you're listening to it the first time and the 100th time, you're kind of hoping that the next song is going to be better than this, and Van Halen do it. David Lee Roth nails the vocals on this song. Again, we've got that wah from Eddie. This is the wah wah album for Eddie. When we go and do some of the earlier albums again in the 90s, there was the introduction of the wah wah, but certainly I think this is the 4th or 5th song where we've got the wah. Wonderful harmonies in the background with during the chorus. Again, just reminds me a little bit of that Michael Anthony vibe that it's trying to get. And the wah wah solo is epic. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, and it's a play.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Okay. What I wrote with this song, guys, it had a cool breakdown in the song that I liked. The chorus, The Trouble with Never, sounded cool. Again, a little lost me sort of lyrically, just didn't grab me. This is my skip on this album.
Oh!
I'm giving it a 5, and the student isn't passing on this song. I'm very sorry. I just I guess this is why we do these. I'll be thinking of Andrew.
Skip that?
I'm sorry. This is my skip on the album. Everybody has their opinion. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. It doesn't grab me lyrically. The chorus, the phrase "the trouble," that's the trouble with never. That sounded okay. There's a cool breakdown, but other than that, it just didn't grab me. And unfortunately, this is my only skip. This is my only skip on the album. I would have for someone. Yeah, I'd throw in Chinatown, Bullet Head, As Is, Honey Sweetie Baby Doll, and this would be the skip on the album. The other ones are a 6. Yeah, no. There's got to be controversy.
Brad, please bring some respectability and some
point
some,
back.
some
taste back to the show.
Great for the ratings. Just remember that, okay? controversy is good for the ratings, so just remember that.
Oh, can't
I'll read out my notes before I go anywhere too far with this song.
Okay. All right.
I've done great doubling bass and guitars, classic vocals, chorus, and BVs. Like they got the classic Van Halen vocal choruses and the backing vocals and everything like that. Very clever lyric in the way that he's put in. When was the last time you did something for the first time? You know, it makes you really think about that as well. But I put here wah solo intro, great wah playing, and after the solo, it kind of reminds me of that Me Wise Magic sort of era of, you know, Van Halen when they got rocked back for those 2 or 3 songs they did with him then. So it's reminiscent of that. I've given it a 7.5.
And that's what, so that's on average where it sits for us is around a 7, I guess. Yeah. Sorry, I brought that song down. I'll have to listen to it again, apparently.
Look, I'm always listening to it as a song and then listening to it from a guitar perspective then separately. So guitar-wise, it's fantastic. I have to back up what Andrew was saying with the wah solo in this is the wah playing in this is a highlight on the record, really. But as a song, I have to give it about 7.5.
Okay. And you know, we appreciate the fact that you are the guitar player here to offer us that analysis. So, no, I appreciate it. So, I've got to tell you guys, the next song is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 words, Outer Space. It's a hard song for me to rate. It was a hard song, guys. It was one of the hardest songs on this album for me to rate. There's nothing on this album that stands out. And because of that, and I'll be very keen to see what you guys have to say about this song. So because there's nothing for me to rate, I'm just going to give it a 5 out of 5, guys. I'm sorry. I couldn't find anything.
5 out of 10, you mean?
Song. 5 out of 10. Yeah, 5 out of 10. And, you know, I'll play it. I'll play it. So I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say about this song.
Yeah, my first listen, I wrote fast riff. Just again, that thing with, I've said it so many times, I apologize. It's key to the thing, whether it's Chinatown, Bullethead, As Is, Out of Space, definitely falls in that category for me. And I gave it a 6 the first listen. I tried again on my second time, and I still gave it a 6. It just didn't grab me. And just it's again what Brad mentioned, the whole song thing. And okay, what are we singing about here? Because I love Alex and I love Eddie, obviously, but it's just you're thinking about it song wise and would I want to play this for someone? And again, it falls in that group of it's a filler song for me again. Yeah, I'll play it, but I'm not going to play it for someone. I'll give it a 6, but yeah, it's still it's all about She's the Woman so far. Yeah.
Okay, so you gave it a 6. Give it a 6.
Yeah, I gave it a tepid play. Just because it's Alex and Eddie, and I love those guys. They're everything they've ever done, and but I'm not gonna be dropping the needle on this song to play for someone if they come over here. There's about 100 other songs I played before this. Yeah.
For some reason, I can't see Bent's comments in the chat. So if I'm missing any comments from Bent, I'm sorry. So just before you go on and give us your analysis, Brad, I just want to do a couple of shout-outs. We've got Nelson in the chat, Rodriguez saying hello. And if I missed anybody else, I think, otherwise it's the usual guys that are here and have been offering comments. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that, Bent. I don't know why I can't see your comments. So,
I can. He's just guys have been throwing up tomatoes. Johnny Beans threw up a few tomatoes on some songs. Ben Tom says Brick Halen on a couple of these. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can see everyone else's,
me,
but not
I know
Bent's.
we've got a few songs to go, guys, but I'm just sort of going back to this. There's never been a Van Halen record I would have said there's even 2 songs that I didn't really like that much. that I'd give a 6. So yeah,
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
the people's comments about some of these songs. So for me, some of them are fitting that filler category. Yeah.
But what I particularly enjoy about what you and Brad are offering on this stream is that we're being honest with our opinions, you know. So I think, you know, that's the credibility that we have to have as fans, I think, and organic fans. You know, no one's going to look. We've just disagreed on a couple of songs, you know. But I think that's what, you know, these streams are about, an opportunity for guys like us to jump in there and just do a comparison. So yeah, sorry to cut you off, Brad. So what's your verdict?
Well, this is what I had a good listen to the demo of this, what they redid, which was what's called "Let's Get Rocking." Is that the demo?
Yeah.
I'd prefer Outer Space than Let's Get Rocking. That's just personally. I put here like Killer Riff, very classic Van Halen. Alex's drumming was a highlight for me on this song. I think we, you know, sort of underplaying a little bit what Alex did on this record because he actually played quite amazing on it. Solo is awesome, like Eddie Van Halen, classic, no rhythm guitar underneath it, just classic bass drums and lead guitar, which sort of leaned a little bit more early Van Halen or classic Van Halen to me. Lyrically, I'm not sure. I think David Lee Roth's a bit of a weak point on this. I'm sorry if I upset anyone there, but yeah, there's something about that I don't know. That let this whole song down for me. Even like for me, it's a 6. I really like the music, and I probably would have expected David Lee Roth to do something better on this song myself. That's just me.
Yeah. So me and Brad gave it the same, a 6. Again, yeah, because again, there's a whole bunch of these. I call them fillers, where the guitar playing's got a cool riff, the drums are big and good, and the rhythm, but it's just the lyrics. Like there was always like an anthems thing with David Lee Roth, whether it was Panama or Jump, but there was always, you could always sing. You were always memorizing and singing other parts, and like I don't play this album a lot. If I do put it in, it's She's the Woman and one of these songs coming up. But yeah, it's there's been a 4 or 5 songs here where lyrically it's just it sounds like filler to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. Look, I kind of think that Outer Space would have been maybe slightly better if there was more attention put to a melody in the vocals.
Yeah.
Because good songs to me lean on melody, not so much ability. But musically, that's the thing. Like this record to me is a tough record, and I really enjoy listening to it. But there's certain bits of it that are a bit cringeworthy as well. I can't sort of get my head around that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's Van Halen, man. I love the record. Don't get me wrong, but
no.
Put it in comparison to like for me, like 1984 or Fair Warning. I mean, like you said, David Lee Roth used to come up with, and he does come up with some amazing stuff on this record too. But
yeah,
that song's a 6 for me. I'll leave it there. And I don't want too many bricks thrown at me.
A 6 is still a pass. It's still a play.
So number 11, yeah. Number 11 is Stay Frosty. So look, you know, it's we all know it's got that acoustic intro. It's a blues riff at its best, and so the sponsor of the show, the British Electric Blues Show, appreciates that. And we've seen that before, haven't we, guys? With Ice Cream Man on their first album, you know, we've seen that kind of similar vibe going on. So, you know, we appreciate. Well, I certainly do. Then it bangs after that. It just booms. You've got that bass and drum sound, and it's just, wow, it's a huge sound for me. And then about the 3-minute mark, it goes into a blues solo, which is that typical Eddie, fireworks going on, some interesting guitar work. And I just can't help but think of Alan Gerber and his analysis that he's done on some of the early Van Halen stuff. I'm getting a Cream vibe there. I think that's Eddie tilting his hat to, a bit of Eric Clapton. So it's a 9 out of 10 for me, and it's a play.
Nice. Yeah, guys. So for me, right along with She's the Woman, it's a 10 out of 10. It's Ice Cream Man Part 2. Pretty obvious there, going with the acoustic intro, and then, like you said, bang, it goes to electric. And I wrote the word fun on my first listen back to it, where I'm struggling with the songs before this, where's the fun? Like I understand his lyrics, I can hear the lyrics, and so these other songs where it's just the storyline's lost for me. I don't know if you guys ever listen to the band Rush, but sometimes when I listen to the band Rush, like, the drums are great and bass lines and musically it's great and everything, but I find myself, I have to think sometimes, and these other songs, like, I have to sit there and I'm finding myself trying to think about what David Lee Roth saying. And one of the great things about Van Halen was it was fun and I didn't have to think. Or if I listen to AC/DC, I don't have to think. It's right there. It's fun. And then, so this is where the fun factor comes back in. And this is like classic Van Halen. It's 10 out of 10. Easy. Love the boogie in the song. And for me, this should be the album closer. So as much as I want She's the Woman to start this record, I think this should have been the closer. There's a couple songs to go here, but like I'm sort of echoing Brad a bit. Like, for me, like, there's 13 songs here. They probably could have cut it down to 9, and some of those filler ones, they could have maybe let them go and maybe put some of the killer riffs in, like, in different parts of other songs, and call it an album. But for a lot of people, David Lee Roth's back in the band. The more, the merrier. More songs, the better. I get it. But yeah, Stay Frosty. It's classic. It's 10 out of 10. It's a play. It's so for me, this record, it's She's the Woman to start it and this to end it. And yeah, they're both 10s for me. That's it.
Yeah. Well, 9 and 10, so that's pretty good. I think we're on the track for a good result here, because I'm starting to read Brad's poker face.
Hey,
I was just reading some of the comments.
Either that or he's putting us off track deliberately.
No. I was just reading some of the comments while you were talking there, Steve. I shouldn't probably do that because it throws my train of thought. So I'll come back a little bit. Look, for me, it is Ice Cream Man-ish, part 2, I guess. It's massive when the band kicks back in. It's got the swing. It's got the swagger. It's got the early days Van Halen for me. It's got great melody. I gave this song a 10 because it's a song that you could play to someone from this record. It's a good representation of what fun Van Halen is. Musically, it's right up there. But, I mean, there's other songs on there, like I said, with Honey Baby Sweetie Doll, like the music on that, for me, is a 10. But it gets let down in other areas. But as a complete song, Stay Frosty, I gave it a 10. I've got, it's big. When it comes in, it swings, and it swings with the best of classic Van Halen for me, like the song does. So I gave it a 10, and yeah, probably should have closed the record, on a bigger note. But that's me. Great guitar playing, great, even that sort of the intro, it's got that typical like party vibe that Van Halen had in the early days. It sort of represents them a little bit better. So I'll give it a 10, and I think we've lost Andrew, have we?
Yeah. Sorry about that. We've got some spinning wheels of doom here. Are we back?
Death there.
Sorry, guys, I lost you.
Is it stormy in New Zealand? What's happening?
Oh no, it's just it's about 6:15 on a Saturday, so everyone's playing Soldier of Doom or whatever. So
very
look,
That's
Brett, did you measure? Did you give a mark for the song? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, I gave it a 10.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, he pretty much echoed each other. Me and Brad did on the song for sure. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we're getting down to the last two songs. So, Big River. For me, Roth is sounding epic, and it's interesting because during the middle of this album, his vocals, in my opinion, are pretty average. So he's putting his bootstraps on. He's kicking it for me. Sounds epic on this. Again, I love the guitar work. The standout for me is that beautiful rhythm that Eddie's playing, and we hear that often, don't we? A lot of people say, you got to check out Eddie's rhythm work. I think for me, this is probably, if I wanted to give someone an example of Eddie Van Halen's rhythm work, I'd say listen to this song. It's beautiful. And then we get an eruption type solo going on there with some ferocious finger tapping. And again, I love the melody, and it's a 9 out of 10 for me, and it's a play.
Nice. Yeah, I echo that. I like the riff and rhythm of this song. When I first listened to this album, that like obviously there was "She's the Woman" sounded like something that could have been on Van Halen 2, and listening to "Stay Frosty" was obviously "Ice Cream Man" Part 2, so that could have been on the first record. And for whatever reason, Big River and that riff, because a lot of the other songs, whether it was As Is or Honey Sweet Baby Doll, very busy riffs going on with Eddie. Like he's trying to play fast, whereas Big River, he's just in a groove with that song. It sounds like to me. Yeah. I always liked the song. I gave it an 8 last week when I listened to it, and I echoed it again the second time, and I'll leave it as an 8. It's a good song, just a cool rhythm, like Best of Both Worlds. Maybe not exactly the same riff, but it has a bit of breathing space in it, which I kind of liked. But again, I will say the song before the "Stay Frosty" should be the last song on this record. It doesn't flow for me. That Big River is after "Stay Frosty," because "Stay Frosty," it's the end of the show. The record's over. It's done. And then all of a sudden we've got a couple more tracks here. So it's just sort of out of place for me. I would have put it maybe, maybe third or fourth, fifth in the list on the record. For me, it needed to be higher up the list. That's that category of thinking about this record, where things should have been. But yeah, 8 out of 10, it's a play.
Cool. Brad?
All right. My notes, I've got this is Big Trouble, the old demo from Big Trouble, isn't it?
Yeah.
This was like one of reworks. So yeah, I liked Big Trouble as well, but I think what they've done with it, they've made it very catchy. The vocal melodies are great. The highlight for me is the solo section, the break, where it breaks down. They could have almost written another song from that riff where it breaks down, in my opinion.
Good point.
I'm glad they kind of kept it there, but I mean that in itself kind of feels like it's sort of a really cool little riff that got wasted because it's just once through and then they're into the rest of the song. But the solo is very much there's like references to Eruption in there, and especially at the end and things like that. But look, I gave it an 8.5. I'm giving scores on this record because they're not quite 9 for me. Not quite. It's 8.5. So
right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Brad the 0.5er.
That's a really big deal. Get that extra 0.5, you got to get goosebumps. No, didn't quite get the goosebumps.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's what Australians do, mate. They're always optimistic. Hey, it's always 0.5 for trying. That's why they put sandpaper in their pockets when they go and play cricket and all these kind of things. It's a 0.5 for trying. Look, so we're at the last song on the album, So I'm going to read my notes here. Beats working. So forgive me if I'm getting the effect wrong. It's got a chorusy effect in the background that I love. And when I listen to it again, I'm sort of hearing some wet dry stuff going on there that I hadn't heard on any of the guitar tracks beforehand. So I think they're trying to get something going there, a nod to maybe some of those early 90s albums. I would love to hear Sammy Hagar sing this song. I think if Sammy Hagar was going to sing a song on this album, this would be the one I'd love to see him sing or hear him sing.
That's
it's
interesting.
One of the best. Yeah, it's one of the best tracks as far as guitar work for me. We have a loud, and then we go into sort of some quiet stuff there, and at that 3-minute mark, we've got some beautiful single note guitar work going on, and then it whips into some typical Eddie solo, and then we've got the wah again, again it's one of David Lee Roth's best vocals. It's a standout track for me, and it's a 10 out of 10.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, last song, guys. I just want to thank you guys for listening to the album many times over, probably more times than I did. Yeah, it's been great. I obviously have to listen to The Trouble with Never a bit more. Yeah, Beats Working. Yeah, it was kind of an interesting intro. I like the riff. It's definitely a play. I gave it 7 out of 10 the first time through. And this week, I don't know what it was. When I listened to the record the other day, I gave Beats Working another point. So I put it up to 8. I guess the chorus stuck with me this time. And I wrote that down in Cool Riff again. And so kind of like in the Big River realm, they both got 8s for me. And yeah, I liked it more actually on the second listen. I mean, that's why I gave it an extra point. So, but again, it's the last song on it. I guess thematically, it's a good message to close the album with. I'd still put Stay Frosty last. And that's interesting what Andrew said about having Sammy Hagar sing that song. And just looking at the song titles, yeah, it kind of is the song that Sammy Hagar could actually pull off, I guess. And interesting, Brad was talking about Out of Space. So whenever I see the word space, I always like Ace Frehley from Kiss, because all his songs involve space travel. So we should get Ace Frehley to maybe do the lyrics on that one and on a remake or something. Yeah, but yeah, definite play. Beats Working. And I was still humming it as I was logging in tonight. I still had that chorus and riff going on in my head. So yeah, that song's really grown on me now that we've had to do this show tonight and actually listen to the record. That's the one song that has a definite higher rating for me now that we had to do this show, which is great. Yeah. Brad, what do you got?
I gave the song an 8 as well.
All right.
Alex kicks in. It's like a monstrous sort of classic fill that he does. Almost 1 minute before the big part of the song, I think that drags on a bit. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's just me. The end solo breakdown, the cowbell section, very very cool. Like all that stuff. That was probably my favorite part of the song. Very catchy, and that's why I gave it an 8.
Right.
It probably would have got, I don't know, just if you put She's a Woman next to it, I think She's a Woman's a much better song. It's a classic, more round. But I believe this was a remake of one of the early demos as well. Right? I think it was. Yeah.
There's been a few songs on here like that for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, look, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's a great song in as a complete song.
Yeah.
Very catchy. Like you said, the vocal melody, it stuck in my head all week. this one. So I probably should give it more than 8, but it's not one of the ones that I think would be given a 9 or a 10, if that makes sense. So.
Oh no, it does.
Ooh.
That's why I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I think like the yeah. There you go. That closes up for me. But I have to make note that I've grown on this album this last 2 weeks, like a lot more than I did. Like I loved it when it first came out, but I actually really enjoy the album now. To listen to it as an entirety, like even when I'm just doing things around the place, like I'm around the house and that, I've got it on in the background. I'm really enjoying it.
Right on.
I agree with you, Brad, and I think this is something that I picked up earlier when Johnny Beam was on live with Jay Hannon. They were talking about 5150 and listening to that over the last couple of days since Eddie's passing. So certainly there is that effect, isn't there, on listening to these songs and, going through these albums since he's passed, because it gives it a different perspective, doesn't it? But for me, reading Andrew Bennett's book and seeing the role that Wolfie was playing with his father as far as the music goes, and how Wolfie wanted to do something with his father, and Eddie agreed to that, and they were, out there doing this album, and they went on a tour, and this album rated highly. What was it, a number 2 when it dropped or something like that? Number 2 on the Billboard or something. So, it wasn't a dud of an album.
Oh.
And one of the good things about doing these shows too, guys, that I like, is that when you listen to an album from 1 to 13, you're appreciating the album in the context of the album. You're not listening to 2 or 3 songs, which gives you a completely different view, doesn't it, of an artist or an album and a time period. It's one of the things that Simon and I like to talk about when we do our British Blues show, is that you listen to the album and then you get an appreciation of the, what was happening in 2010, 11 and 12, and yeah. Is it my favourite Van Halen album? No. I certainly respect it a lot more. I listened to it for a long time when it first came out, but like you, Brad, I haven't listened to it for years. Probably after this show, I might listen to a couple of the songs again, but I probably won't listen to it for years again.
Wow.
I personally will be spending it a lot more. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, when I first got it, I listened to it all the time, and then the last fortnight I've been really listening to it, and I can't stop playing. Every day I get up and I put it on while I'm getting organised, and I'm just enjoying it. It's great. So looking at it retrospectively, I mean, it's great. You look at it, Wolf's role in it. We were all disappointed when Michael Anthony wasn't included originally, but now we've got a better understanding. It wouldn't have come to this without Wolf.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have actually got this.
That's correct.
So as much as we can sit there and say, that's not a good song, this and that, I still have to say it's Van Halen, and I'm grateful we've got this.
Yeah.
Because that's the last thing that we've got.
So you know what they used to do, according to Andrew Bennett? So they would get to the studio and they would rehearse 30 songs. They would play 30 songs from start to finish. And that's when Wolfie was in the band as a bass player. And when I ordered this book from Andrew Bennett, he sent me a couple of songs that he got off the soundboard. One of them was Panama and the other one was, I forget. Okay. But yes, talk about a band that's disciplined, and Wolfie walked into that and was part of that from the beginning. So I think you're right, Brad. I think we have to give Wolfie credit for being the motivator behind, the album, and hopefully the motivator and the main instigator for giving us more material. And we keep talking about that, and we see it on other shows that talk about Van Halen, and we're all crossing our fingers, aren't we?
Well, no, even David Lee Roth dropped that cool song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Bar and Grill. That was cool to see for me, like a sensitive side to him, because he's always sort of so colorful in the showman and that. But it was nice to see sort of a sort of more sensitive side to David Lee Roth, that he released that song. And apparently there's like 5 more or 4 more songs that he's going to drop soon.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was cool to see. Sort of maybe now that he's at a certain age, that he's sort of being sort of a bit more of a sensitive guy. So that was cool to see that song was released. Yeah. And,
one thing I noticed with you guys, with your comments, I noticed, Steve, you made a lot of comments about the lyrics, you know, and the lack of storytelling on this album. And I noticed, Brad, that you were, you know, critical and positive about the guitar work. So I think that worked really well. You know. That was very nice to be part of, because I think we got to remember that too. Sometimes that a song is built on the strength of the lyrics, and certainly on its musical content. So the fact that you guys made some of those points known for not only myself but other people is positive. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just opens up the avenue for people to go listen to it, you know, from more of a musical standpoint, or more lyrically, or as a complete song, you know, kind of, you know, come full circle. A good song is a good song. You've got to look at it as an entirety sometimes, but there's some standout like musicianship on this record if you listen to it, and that's why I love listening to this record now. There's some really solid drumming. I mean, Alex is overlooked a lot, and his drumming record is phenomenal. I mean, you know, people can sit and knock and rate different eras of Van Halen and this and that, and should they have done this, should they have, but it's still a great record. We're being super critical. We're going through this like this. But to me, like I said, I haven't listened to this record for about 4 or 5 years, and listening to the last 2 years, I may have come across on my playlist like She's the Woman and Tattoo, and you know, what I'm saying is, as in listening, because if I listen to an album, I listen to it from start to finish. I don't skip anything really. And listening to it like that, I figure that think about the time that came out. You know, we all rushed to go buy the damn thing, and we're all excited that Van Halen had released something new.
Yep.
I couldn't wait to hear his playing. I couldn't wait to hear Alex's drumming. You know, it was. It's still a good record, even though there's fillers on there. But I mean, you got to look at some of early Van Halen stuff. You could arguably say that there's a few fillers here and there on some of their other records too. So, you know.
But I like the point though that Steve made, Brad, when you compare this album to Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2 and Van Halen 3, you know, Woman and Children First, you know, there's not very many. Well, there's no skips on there for me. You know,
no.
Yeah,
and same with the Sammy era for me. Like say 5150, there's no skips on that for me either.
None.
I mean, it's a strong.
Yeah, I know Brad's like often, and all the songs that I kind of like, we sort of agreed within like they're a 6 or a 7 or whatever. But also for me, just when I think about the record, right, for me, She's the Woman. There's another part of this is what song made me want to learn it. Like, actually, I'm going to learn how to play She's the Woman. Like, it was instantly, like, as soon as I started listening to that song, I was like, goosebumps. And where is it? It sounds like another song. There's a Van Halen 2 or something, like a similar riff. And but I was like, that's also another part of this is what's the song that grabbed me to play. Whereas like 1984, okay, there's like Panama, Drop Dead Legs, Hot for Teacher. I mean, they're so epic that you wanna learn parts of those. Whereas some songs here where they don't quite make me want to, I got to learn that song. But She's the Woman does Stay Frosty did that. Now all of a sudden I'm looking at Beats Working. Okay, that song kind of grabbed me on this listen, preparing for this show. So yeah, that's what I like. I guess so. 2 weeks ago, it was "Girl Gone Bad" because both of you guys had picked it, and I certainly hadn't on my list, but that was the one song you both picked. So that's what I got out of the show 2 weeks ago. And this one, I know that I have to listen to "The Trouble with Nevermore," and still loving the song I liked. "Beats Working" was the latest one that grabbed me out of this. Yeah, so that's cool.
So, are we going to do Van Halen 3 in a fortnight? We're working backwards, aren't we? So,
Yeah.
And I particularly look forward to that album because that's the one that Brad and I saw Van Halen live in. So, you know, we'll be able to have, you know, we'll be able to offer something a little bit more personal, I suppose, in relation to the songs, because that was the era for me that, you know, we saw Eddie Van Halen, but not my favorite era, if that makes any sense.
And I have that show on VHS that you guys were at, so I'm not completely lost.
Yeah. Oh. So look, I look forward to that one. So that's in a fortnight, the same time, and we'll make sure that we're in the same rooms. Steve, I'm sorry about that. It's the problem when you've got all these different shows set up.
Oh, that's
if you
okay.
guys in the if you guys in the chat want to tune in tomorrow about this time, we'll be kicking off with Simon and Brad, and we're going to be talking about Baker, Bruce, and more. What's the name of the album? Oh gosh, I got all the. What's the name of the album, Brad?
BBM.
BBM. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. So we're talking about that album, and so we're going to be doing the same format with Simon, Skip and Play, and Ranking. But in the meantime, if you guys haven't listened to Van Halen 3, you've got 2 weeks to listen to it.
So Brad has to stop listening to A Different Kind of Truth for 2 weeks, and he's got to listen to Van Halen 3.
Yeah. Well, he probably knows that album off by heart. But compile your lists and throw your lists in the chat too, you know, your rankings, because you guys are part of it as well. So we really appreciate it. So we've had about 12 people watching. We appreciate the support. Thank you, Simon, for pointing out the fact that the channel has reached over 300 subscribers. It's been hard work, and we will continue doing it the way that we do, by just asking people to support us. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, if you're watching the replay, please subscribe to my channel here that Brad and Steve and Simon are part of. Please subscribe to Brad, and you can see his website on the screen there. Check out his music, and check out the Rummeisters channel too. Steve said that he doesn't go there much, but if people start going there, he might go there more often.
I've got Van Halen to listen to every 2 weeks, for God's sake.
Look, this show was only an hour and 48 minutes. You wait till we get to Balance for Carnal Knowledge and OU812. I think those shows are. Yeah, I think we're going to probably have to get pizza and eat in. You're going to have to get some rums set up by your computer, Steve, because those shows won't be going for this shorter time.
Always here.
Yeah. I certainly look forward to those shows, because those are the albums for me that I can talk hours about.
So guys, I just got to drop a little unboxing here. So because we were doing this show, you guys know I collect vinyl. It's coming in here every other day. I did pick up this sort of single of "She's the Woman." Pretty cool cover on the front, and on the back here, it's got the lyrics over here on this side. So yeah, it's just the vinyl single of "She's the Woman," and I like the artwork that was on it. It's got the "Stay Frosty" written up here. There's little references to the rest of the album on it. So anybody out there that collects vinyl, this is the single to the my favorite song on the track was Stay Frosty. Ironically, they're both named on here. So yeah, both my number 10s are mentioned on here. So but anyway, this is the vinyl single of She's the Woman. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So before we sign off, guys, is there anything you'd like to say before we end the show?
Thanks for everyone for tuning in and listening to our valid or invalid opinions of the kind of truth.
I still gotta look. I gotta look back at what Andrew's number, his 2 out of 10 and his 3 out of 10 were. My God.
Well. To be fair, guys, I was, and throw the bricks. Yeah, I'm being honest. It's I don't think we, as fans, we can do any justice if we're not in our opinions. But after listening to that album, for 8 years, on and off for 8 years, and my gosh, that time has flown, hasn't it? 2012, 2020. Like I said at the top of the show, I remember it was a public holiday here, and now a public holiday is like a bank holiday in some parts of the world. So it was a Monday, and I just screamed in to get that CD. And they had a big stack there, and the girl was there behind the counter, and I said, "Are you selling lots of these? Are people coming in?" And she said, "No, you're the first one."
Does that mean that it wasn't selling good, or you were just early?
Well, look, to be honest, mate, they had a lot of those CDs, because I used to call into JB Hi-Fi, on a weekly basis, but they had a lot of the CDs in the what do they call the cheap bin, unfortunately.
Yeah. Just in general with this record, guys, were you guys surprised that there wasn't a cover tune on this, like a Cream cover tune, or like maybe like I'm So Glad, or maybe something by the Dave Clark Five? I was kind of surprised that there wasn't a cover song on this. Maybe from a song that they might have played in their club days or something. That was one thing I kind of thought might have been on this record when it came out.
I was kind of surprised that we didn't get any video footage, because 2012, we were in the middle of DVDs and a lot of bands showing you the recording process and showing Eddie in the booth there, and Alex with his drum. I was surprised we didn't get any of that. We got the with the bonus track with them sitting there doing the acoustic set, which was pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, that was pretty cool, but I was more surprised that we didn't get that. When you consider Dream Theater at the time were doing weekly uploads on the YouTube channel about how they're going through the recording process. Surprised we didn't get that.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised when there was no cover on it, to answer your question, but like doing my homework leading up to this, like I realized that it was like Wolf's intention to get this record out as a collection of like, the demos, like redo them, and obviously covered them. So I guess they could have probably included a cover when you think about it, because that era they were doing a lot of covers as well. So, but maybe, if they ended up bashing out like up to 30 plus songs in that session, maybe it wasn't even a factor, or maybe one of the songs that we haven't heard is a cover. I mean, there's obviously stuff that wasn't mixed or mastered from those sessions. So we'll hear. I don't know. I mean, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this morning on Instagram when I woke up, Wolf had posted something that it's been a month since, and that broke my heart seeing that. It was like,
yeah, he needs to step away from social media and just keep care of himself and his mom and anybody that knew Eddie or anything. You gotta like keep care of your family and yourself, and forget all the anything to do with the internet and anything. Just shut it down.
Steve,
Like,
Steve, you're right. He doesn't need to defend his dad. He doesn't
no,
need to.
no, he doesn't.
He does not. You know, there's plenty of fans out there who can do it and will do it, and publications and stuff like that. Good point. He just needs to, stand back, look after himself and
Yes.
his mum. Yeah, good
Yeah.
point.
He had a very close bond with his dad. They were very close. They were like best mates, so to speak. They had that musical connection. That there's a harmonic connection with music with yourself, and then obviously, father son having that connection together and having the one common interest as well. That itself, it's on a very deep level for him. This losing his dad like that, because that's going to affect him for the rest of his life, obviously. And I mean, obviously, he's got to step away because we know the internet can be quite damaging to people and
it totally is.
Warriors and stuff like that. And I mean, it's all well and good. Some people put up stupid comments and that, and you just think to yourself, is that absolutely necessary when he's grieving? Like, that's just not. And
No.
Unfortunately, Brad, that's the disappointing thing about social media is that there are just people out there who just
benefits of social media, and then there's the complete flip side of that is the negativity. And he's grieving at the moment, and all these publications doing things and that, and him coming out. I've seen him do a couple of posts saying this publication did this, it's not true. Like, I kind of feel sorry for him that he's having to go through that at the moment. But you think about it, like 16, 17-year-old doing this record, whatever his age was when he did this. And what's he now, like 26 or something? I don't know how old he is or whatever. I can't work that out off the top of my head. But he's still a young man who's lost his dad, who died at a young age, really. 65 is too young to pass away. So he's still grieving all that stuff. And
no, and for me, guys, like I lost my dad 9 years ago, and I had a moment yesterday, and like he passed away 9 years ago, and yesterday I was like, oh, I wish I could talk to my dad about this or that. It never leaves you. So all this stuff, I mean, just me growing up as a guy or whatever, like it's the old sticks and stones thing. I don't care what anybody says to me. It's just, you got to let it go. Like if you hurt me like physically or something, sticks and stones, yeah, okay, I'm going to be ticked off. But he's a younger guy, and kids are always like social media. He just has to get rid of it and take care of himself and his family and just play that card a little bit. But he's a young guy, like, yeah,
he's still, a whole career ahead of himself. But the point of the matter, what I was getting at, is that in itself, listening to that now and hearing Wolf playing on that, I appreciate it way more now because I'm knowing full well that Wolf was the big driving force behind that. But you can hear the father-son, and you see it in the footage of them playing on stage together. And I mean, think about this, families, nothing's closer than your own offspring. So imagine sharing the stage with your dad or your son, flipping the coin like that at that level. So that to me would be something that, listening to that, I can really hear that connection there in this record.
Well, we might be lucky enough if Eddie hasn't worked on any biography in his last, phases of his life. Hopefully, that might be something that Wolfgang might want to do, later on. Give us a biography of his, relationship with his dad, because it's always a commercial thing to do from a positive point of view, but fans like us, we want to hear that. We want to hear, the conversations that they had when they were recording this album. For argument's sake, Brad, it'll be nice to hear some of their arguments that they had about what tracks should be included, and I can't wait. I think these are positive times for Van Halen fans. I think we have to be positive, and that was something that I picked up earlier today when I was watching the Johnny Bean show with Jay. You know, it's a good opportunity for fans and social media to, you know, celebrate a genius. And thank you guys for being part of it with the British Electric Blues show.
Yeah. So just anyone out there hasn't seen this, this is Van Halen supporting the record we've been talking about tonight, Different Kind of Truth. This is Van Halen live at Tokyo Dome. Songs off the record that were on the record that were played in the concert. Here we got She's the Woman, Tattoo, and Chinatown are on this is 4 album set. I bought this the day Eddie Van Halen passed away. What is it? We're looking at a month ago today.
Yep.
On October 6th. I heard about it at 1 o'clock. A friend of mine from California texted me that Eddie Van Halen had passed away. And I was working and I said, okay, end of my workday. What am I going to do? I got to do something. So I said, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go buy that 4 record box set, and walked into the record store in the back corner, and there it was. I had looked at it before and hadn't sort of, sorry to say the words, pulled the trigger, but I had to do something that day, and that's what I did. I went and bought this. This is still sealed, and yeah, I did see them on this tour, and I had to do something that day, Van Halen wise. So this was what I did. I bought this box set. Yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to say goodbye to everybody in the chat. Simon, our co-host, my co-host, he'll be on with Brad and I tomorrow, so lock into that show. Sonia, a very, very good friend of the channel. Thank you for everything you do, Sonia. Johnny Bean, always a pleasure. Jay, thank you for popping in. Who else have we got here? Nelson, thank you, Nelson. Arvin, another good friend of the channel. Thank you for dropping by. Who else? Bent, thank you. Johnny Bean, Simon, Warren H, another good friend. Ellen, thank you for popping in. Appreciate everyone's support. And thank you for subscribing to the channel. You know, 300 subs, that's a big deal for Simon and I, and we thank you all. So we'll catch you tomorrow, and the Rummeister and Brad will be back for 5150 time in 2 weeks' time.
Adios, everybody.
See ya.